So one of the key practices that I think is hugely valuable for organizations if they're moving towards that more frequent delivery, if they're starting to get things in front of customers as quickly as possible, right? If you want to be able to be doing continuous delivery, you're going to accept that you're going to be deploying new features to production that you might be the product manager or you might be the developers, that you're not ready for customers to use yet, right? You might have a feature that takes multiple deployments to get to the point where you're happy to be able to have more have it in production, right? Even if it's the end of the feature is much further down the line, you've got 10% you want to do before you want the majority of users to be accessing it, but you're going to be delivering 1% at a time, right? Now, just as a random example. A great example of this, again, the Azure DevOps team do a great job of this. You can go open up dev.azure.com, and when you're logged in, you'll see that there's a button on the top right with a picture of you, or a blank but picture of you. You click on that and it'll have a preview features option. And when you click that, it'll list all of the feature flags that are available. Okay. So what they effectively do is they write all of, if they're writing an update to an existing feature that's in production, it's just going to go. Unless they're replacing a whole feature like they did recently with Azure boards. They had old boards and new boards. They were doing a big update and they had a feature flag for that, right? But typically, if you're adding functionality to an existing feature, you're probably just shipping it, right? Because it's a smaller change. But if you're adding a net new functionality to your product, a new feature, a new capability, a new different thing, then they hide it behind a feature flag. The feature flag would then be turned on in their environment. They have the developers themselves environment. In their environment for testing would be for once they're happy with their testing, they're going to turn it on for the product group, right? So the environment that they're working in, their account has that new feature, and they're going to be looking at the telemetry. The developers that built the feature are going to be looking at the telemetry. So it's off for 99% of all the users on the system. It's on just for their own engineering team. And then they're looking at the telemetry. Is this performing? Is it doing the right thing? Is it causing a lot of exceptions? They're looking at all of that data. Once they're happy that that's good, they maybe open that up to everybody within Microsoft that's opted in to see those things. So then everybody inside of Microsoft can turn on that feature and can turn off that feature. The feature flag's visible. If you turn off a feature flag, it asks you why you're turning it off and if it's okay to contact you. Very prudent. I always give a message and I always tick the box to say it's okay to contact me. And I do get contact from those teams because they're interested in, like, why are you turning it off? Oh, you've said why it is, but I don't quite understand what you mean. And then they'll contact you and try to figure it out. What's missing, right? What's missing that you need? Is there a expectations gap? Is there it's bad, right? It's not what I need. Is it causing errors and performing badly on my machine, right? Those all could be reasons why I want to turn it off. But at some point, they're going to want to open it out to a wider audience, more people in the world. So what they typically do is they publish a blog post on their team, the Azure DevOps blog, that says, here's a new feature we're working on. We're looking for people to help us kick the tires. Kick the tires is just a euphemism for try it out and see if it works. And they give an email address for you to email with your account, and they'll enable it for your account. Then on your account, you'll get that feature flag, and it will be off by default, and you can go turn it on. Again, they're looking for people turning it off and feedback. They're looking for telemetry of people leaving it on. Is it performing well? That's their private preview. So you have to explicitly opt in to that capability. And that means that you're limiting your audience, right? They have an idea. They'll be able to look across all of the times they've done this and have an idea how many people they're going to get. With that number of people, they're then monitoring the telemetry and looking at, do we have enough people using it? Is it because they might have to do another blog post, right? Or another way to get people in? Do they have enough people using it? Does the telemetry look good? Is this viable for the next stage? So the next stage after that might be a public preview. And a public preview is that switch, that feature flag then becomes visible to everybody on the service. And they put it out in another blog post saying, this is now available to everybody. We'd like you to try and kick the tires. So people that want to then go switch it on. It's now easy. They don't have to email. It's just there. They can go turn it on and see what it's like. Some people just discover it. Other people, they're reading the blogs and they find it. And again, they're looking at telemetry. Do we have enough people using it? Do we need to promote it again? Do users care? Do they use this feature? Is it performing well? All of that type of data they're looking at on whether they need to invest more in that feature, whether anybody cares about that feature, whether they just need to stop, right? Or so it's pivot, ante up, or call, right? That's your the poker analogy, right? You're is this feature viable? If they get enough telemetry and everything looks good, the next stage is they turn on the feature for everybody on the service, but they leave that feature flag to be able to turn it off. So they're interested in that feedback. Who's turning it off? Why are they turning it off? Can we have a chat with them and find out what's missing? What do they need, right? You're engaging with your customers. This is the development team, the engineering team that built that functionality is continuously engaging with real customers in production, either through telemetry or actually talking to them because you want to find out what's going on. I've turned off a feature before because I didn't like it and said, I didn't like it. This is bad. It's not working for me. Tick the box, hit submit. And a couple of days later, I've got a communication from the product manager for that feature, the person who's sponsoring that feature and bringing it through to basically ask, what's it need? What's missing? Why do you not like it? All useful. Do we need to continue to make changes to it before it goes live? So at any point in that story, you can pull that feature. You can just disappear that feature flag and it's gone for everybody because it's performing badly. And you can automate that as well. So you could have automation that checks for performance and then automatically let's get rid of that feature if it's impacting the system, right? It should be just built into the system. And then once everybody's got it turned on, people aren't turning it off. There's probably a few laggards. There's probably a few unhappy people when you change things, right? You move their cheese. That's just the cost of doing business, but everything's generally okay. Then feature flags on for everybody. You start removing that feature flag from the system and that feature's just in production. So that could be a very long time. I know that when the Azure DevOps team did their boards, the new boards, old boards, it took them nearly 2.5 years, nearly 3 years to get everybody over to the new boards because they kept hitting missing functionality. They kept hitting some performance problems, and then they had to kind of old boards rewrite that, new boards again. And it took them a long time to get from we need to replace the boards to it's done. It was a very long time. And so feature flags and how you enable feature flags, so they can be behind the scenes, they can be something that you give actual users access to. This is one of the core practices that enable you to do continuous delivery to production while protecting your system, protecting your users, and enabling you to get the telemetry you need to understand whether you've built the right thing in production.